If you're a student and you're watching this, the lesson is to save your work. Back it up. Buy an external hard drive, Western Digital, Seagate. Do whatever you do. Back up your work at least monthly and your documents too. It's good to have a journal on your computer. So here's just some storyboards from an animation I did where these robots got injured or destroyed, kind of Star Warsy, and astronaut dudes are coming to save the robot on Mars. This was fun. So I found it in the library. Thought I'd share it with you guys, my friends on Facebook. Sir Brandon C. Little is here. Welcome, Brandon. Thank you, my man. I am on here for you. I wanted to check in and give you some love through art demonstration style. So here we go. We got some sketches. We got some drawings. Circa 2003, 17 years ago. Boy, doesn't time fly. Look at the nice little mining operation on Mars. That's pretty fun. Here's basically like the thing I learned from Fang really quick is just that you can create mass and volume just using three tones, like 50, 70, 90, 10, 30%, 50%. And the Prismacolor grayscales, at least back then, I hope they still do now, come in these percentage grays that you can use to do stuff. Another fun little show and tell item. We got some sketches from Illusionism from Susan Waters Eller. This was kind of fun stuff. A little giant robot pencil sketch. Pencil sketch giant robot. Kind of fun. Kind of fun. I think I did an ink version of that too. Bunch of robot people. Bunch of robot stuff. Studies in class. Just drawing from life and observation. A couple ideas and stuff. Freshman year stuff. Just a bunch of life drawings, and here's some pages out of my sketchbook that I probably liked back then. I must have put this book together in 2003 or 4. This is the kind of sketchbook that I would keep. This was fun. I think I did this one in Florida. Remember, a guy looked at this drawing of the knights on the battlefield. He's like, "You must have a lot of time on your hands." That guy's fun. Something about the Skull Pilot's always fun. See him a lot in media. That's fun. So this is the kind of stuff we would do in Illusionism. Susan Waters Eller would just have us crinkle up some paper and put it in front of us and try to draw the subtleties of a crinkled sheet of paper. And here is the ink version of that giant robot before. So just pen line with the Prismacolor grayscales. You can do a lot with it, man. I did not do much with color. I was really bad with color in high school and art school. I didn't really get into using color until later in my career. So that's why I work pretty grayscale first and I put the color on later. But sometimes I go color first and then it screws up the base drawing and then the image sucks. So you got to give it a little bit of back and forth to make a cool image. You know, you got to have your line work and you got to have your color work to make the thing really, really pop. But what I've noticed is if you have your colors but you don't have your lines, it really doesn't hold up. The line, the drawing is the foundation of the piece. So in this drawing I'm working on now, I started with the massing where I'm just making big shapes and coming up with a environment with a composition, and then I'm going back in and refining the proportions and the line work and the drawing side of it. And I'm doing it with very minimal, very simple colors. So this piece is going to end up looking a lot like the other giant battle scene I had done a little while ago. Let me pull that up for my friends and relations. Battle scene, the future battle. Come on, you know, Windows image is really slow lately. All right, here we go. So this was the battle scene I did for Jason Ellis back in the spring, and I had so much fun with this. This drawing went so much further than I expected it to. I'm excited to do something of the similar level for Sean, because Sean, the last three things I did for Sean were an evolving process where I was getting better and better and better with each one. I think this is the best commission piece yet as far as refinement. The Baltimore Harbor one came out really good. LeGrand is thrilled with it. Everyone who's bought a print seems to be thrilled with it. I'm thrilled that they're thrilled. That came out much better than I expected to. It's just a lesson for me that what happens when you can put the work in, when you can put the time in. It's 20% the idea, in the initial framing, and then it's 80% just rendering. And so how do you, Tom Symonds, keep rendering when you're not excited as you used to be? Well, I listen to a whole lot of podcast updates. Right now I'm listening to Press Check Consulting. Love him. I got Annie Letterman. Annie Letterman, me inspiration. Funny comic recently on Joe Rogan. Love her. Love the episode with Joe Rogan and Whitney Cummings. I thought that was funny. A lot of people seem to hate it. And then we got music, Stranger Synths, dark wave, 80s fun. It reminds me of the two-time 1993, 1994 back-to-back video game champion of the online community, Blockbuster. Love the Doc. I don't care what people say. Dr. Disrespect, so much fun. If you're like, why do you like that guy? He acts like such an evil villain. Like, well, it's all facetious. If you realize it's sarcastic, if you realize it's intentionally an act and he's trying, the whole thing is funnier. It's not just, he isn't that person. He's pretending to be this villain. It's kind of like Kanye West or something. It's like a rapper villain, rock star. I don't know. It's fun. It's just fun. If the world's all good, guys, there's no conflict. Gotta have a little conflict. Oh, my cousin's texting me. What's going on, cuz? Handsome cousin of mine. You do drawings on the computer or both? He's asking, hey Tommy, how are you? Cool question. Do you do drawings on the computer or only by hand on paper? Both, Mr. Josh. Doing, yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Maybe he's watching. Maybe he just wanted to get the secret response. Well, anyway, that's not public. Sorry. All right, what do we got? We got notifications. Mel liked the stream. Awesome. Hope you're doing well, Mel. What are we going to do with this? Well, anyway, last time I was just deciding where do I want the composition to be for a book cover. So I generally have a frame that establishes where the front page and the back page will be. And I was moving this around to see what would make an interesting cover thing. So we ended up framing it about here, so it's going to crop the elbow just a little bit, but I think this is good enough of a composition for the front. I picked up some reference for this project. Let's take a quick look at that. And the theming is going to be Ukraine future. So take reference from the battles that have been happening in the Donetsk region between the, is it Free Ukrainian Army, like the Russian-sided? It's really complicated because you have the Ukrainian government, you have Ukrainian citizens, and then Russian mercenaries or I don't know. It's very confusing to me. I don't have the details of what's going on there. What I do find compelling is the imagery. It's sad, yes, but it's also compelling. It's also heartfelt. It's also kind of different. The landscape is certainly post-Soviet. You got the snow, you got the typical Russian camouflage patterns, which are a little different than what I'm used to in the West. There's beauty in decay and destruction. As horrific as it is, I think because we don't see it all the time, it's something unique and different, and therefore it can be kind of beautiful. I was watching a live stream from my high school art colleague, peer, John Pizzoli. I was watching him fire ceramics. And what does that tell us? What is the process about burning something to make something beautiful? Is there metaphor in that? It was really cool watching him fire these different things. Man, look at all this shrapnel. The explosion creates these little pellets that go flying off in the distance, kind of thing. I just remembered I have to send off an email or two. I wonder if I can do that while live streaming. Maybe I'll do that real quick. Let's see if we can do that. Yeah. And that gives you guys some time to ask me some questions. Brandon, ask me some questions. Come up with a few questions that I can answer about drawing, and that'll be fun. Unless you're working, which I understand. So I gotta go to my email. I gotta go to my Google Drive. Who doesn't love Google Drive? I mean, yeah, Google has access to everything you make and share on there, which is kind of sketchy. But I don't think Google is completely evil right now. Are they? Maybe. I don't know. Gotta find my buddy's email. It's really frustrating when you got friends with 3 or 4 email addresses, and I am one of those. I got 5 something. Emails sent. Brandon, you haven't asked me any questions yet. Disappointed. That's okay. I know you're working. I know you got things to do. All right. Ukraine versus Russia. And then some Call of Duty images. And just like I was gathering reference, and I just feel so sad for these people. Like we're complaining about COVID, and then over here they got like cities and hospitals like blowed up. Look at that. It was probably a really great factory once a long time ago. Maybe not. Maybe it was terrible. Got some BMP personnel carrier kind of thing. Got some totally effed up cities. This looks like a map from Call of Duty. Or maybe Call of Duty does a great job of looking like a destroyed area of Ukraine. Man, I remember, dude, throwback memory. There was a nice Ukrainian kid in my elementary school named Terrence, and he was just so sad talking about where he came from, Ukraine. Elementary school, like nobody knows what the heck global geopolitical warfare politics is all about. But this kid kind of had an idea. Like he could kind of tell that what we had here was nice, and that people should appreciate what we have in the United States. Uh, yeah, man, I'm reading. I went back last night, read a little bit more of inside the Soviet military, and it makes me feel just so bad about um, what it must have been like, even for citizens of the Soviet Union. Not everybody is evil, right? A lot of people were just doing what the country thought that they should do or told them to do, like conscripts. All the boys had to register, and like 20% or 30% had to serve in some capacity in the armed forces. There's no option in the 80s and the 70s in the Soviet Union, probably since like the 30s, since the Great Patriotic War, they called it. And when Churchill and Roosevelt would talk about how the war was going to progress, they knew that the only ground army that could really wear down the Germans was going to be the Soviets. They were the ones with the numbers to take on that amount of losses. That they knew the Germans were just going to do terrific damage to whoever attacked them. And America could have done it, but it would have been brutal. I mean, it probably would have been unsustainable losses for the American public if we were the only ones fighting the Germans in 43, 44. Maybe. I was just thinking about Russians owns like 26 million people, something like that. Some crazy amount. Now, I don't want to paint too much on the right side because I think the composition is going to be over here. Right. So we want to have a little bit of a border area. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. So what do we got going on? We got our main hero character in the middle. We're going to call him Hicks because I love Corporal Hicks from Aliens. And who's this going to be the support gunner up front? Well, we're going to call him Drake because Drake was the support gunner and Vasquez were the support gunners from Aliens as well. So we could do something like, just for now, we could write their name on the helmet so I know who I'm talking about. And maybe this will be Vasquez because it's another support gunner. This is going to be a heavy high-tech support gunner with some really cool power armor that allows him to carry just a buttload of ammo. Isn't that funny when we talk about like buttload as being a lot? How much do people really carry in their butts? Where does that come from? One thing, in earlier versions of this drawing, I had separated out the foreground and background. See, this is the initial sketch for it, and I had just done a quick, like, loose drawing of one of the reference images I saw of the Donetsk airport that had been destroyed. I was like, this is kind of cool, this is fun, and then put in a little tank, and then started massing out the composition for where my primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary guys were going to be, some brainstorming, and then did the line work on top of that. That's the process there. So environment, which sets the horizon line, the camera field of view, and then just a couple special elements, loosely framing out the composition, and then line work to refine the drawing and get the proportions and the action and the different things right. Something I want to be doing with my drawings, I'm thinking about in the back of my head, is how the viewer's eye is going to bounce around all over the image. Coffee today is Starbucks in a Yeti tumbler, iced, venti, 24 ounces. Went to the supermarket and bought food like a child. We got some Chips Ahoy. We got some salt and vinegar Utz. Tom's going to be getting in trouble with my doctor for sure. Got a nice day in Shrewsbury. It's 86 degrees, moderately high humidity. All right. So we generally know what's going to be happening. I would like this foreground to be more interesting. So can I put something here in this lower third area to spice it up a bit? I can put some, so I have like this engine, like this airplane engine on the right. I could kind of move it and like plop it in. So drawing feet's fun, but it's never really like as interesting as it could be. So we have our PowerPoints, which would be the upper third corners and then lower third corners. So right now the eye is going to this guy's crotch area, and I'm not really sure what I feel about that. So one thing I probably should do is just darken it down immediately. Tom brush. Let's get some blue. We can multiply some blue over that. Let's go 50%. A little shadow. Cool. This guy's kind of occluded over there. There's a body back over this way. It might be better to put this bad guy body up a little bit closer. So what happens if we just copy him, put him like right behind and scale him up? It's like, so we get some kind of suggestion of, I flipped it over. That's kind of interesting and dark, isn't it? So what happens if he goes there, and I just mask out, put a mask in, we're just going to mask out the area of Commando's leg. Alright, see then this guy is coming over to check out that dude. That could be cool. That could be good. Yeah, that's interesting. Now we have something that's right there that draws the eye down. That's fun. Cool. Got it. So let's turn that on. Let's crank that back up to 100%. Groovy. That's cool. And then we'll change this other background, dude. Let's merge that. This guy will be maybe, oops, maybe facing up. And arms at the sides. And he's got like a rifle kind of slung over him. Something like that. Oh, I can't paint over this. Why? Multiply. Got it. Multiply mode was on. And so he's got his gun. I'm not really sure how to mark that to be obvious. It'd be fun to have some snow falling in this scene, and then it's settling on the bodies a bit. Yeah, it's a little gruesome, but this is science fiction. Science fiction. Dude's head is shit blown off. There he goes. Arms just kind of not there anymore. That's pretty rough. Tom, how could you? There's a couple of these vertical delineations. Like as I'm planning out my composition, I'm copying and pasting stuff. Mel Pico says the butt is a measure of liquid volume equaling to 2 hogsheads. A buttload of wine is roughly 2 standard barrels. Holy cow, thanks, Mel. Did not know that. Wow. A buttload of wine is roughly 2 standard barrels. I need to copy and paste that and send it to some people because that's great intelligence. A butte. Buttload. That's awesome. Mel Pico, ladies and gentlemen, excellent singer and celloist of the band Wonderlight. I would love a heavy metal cover of all the songs that you two wrote. I want a heavy metal version of that entire album. Lol, I'm 12. Yeah, I'm right there with you. You know, maybe it's something about the creative mind, about art school kids, that we just hold on to that youthful sense. So glad to have you hanging out today, Mel. How's everything going? Poor Mel was down in not Harper's Ferry. What am I thinking of? Flooded Town in Maryland, and has been doing a lot to raise awareness of what's going on. Ellicott City. I had to type in. I don't know why my mind just blanked. Crazy, crazy floods. Man, that is for all y'all who never saw this. The flash floods in Ellicott City were unbelievable, just unbelievable, and they dealt with that twice down there. So, just letting my friends know who might watch this who do not know Mel's situation. Mel, what's your website? Wanderlight Band. Let me promote you a little bit. Wanderlight. Let's see what it gives. Facebook. Maybe that gives me it. Yeah, let's see. Wanderlight. They got some good jams. Wanderlightband.com. I don't know if that's gonna load up. Yeah, here it is. Cool. There we go. Guys, check it out. Wanderlightband.com. Get the album. It's pretty fun. Mel has a wonderful voice. Alto. Oh, very cool. Very, 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 very cool. I just forwarded the buttload definition to my friend Joe because I think she'll think it's hilarious. All right, let's merge all of that. Merge those. Hotkey lesson I learned is that the same hotkey for merging layers in Photoshop, which I think is like Control-Shift-E, is the same for closing down your Skype call. Learn that the hard way. And Skype just reads hotkeys no matter what you're pressing, no matter what app you're in. because Microsoft, Microsoft, why can't you be better? Microsoft should be so much better. Maybe they're functional, but their UI could be way, way better. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Heavy metal, be dope. Mel and I have a mutual friend who was in Pearl and the Beard, and I was listening to their album a hell of a lot recently on my road trips across the country. I had um, Animal on loop. That song's awesome. It's a shame. I want more Pearl and the Beard. But I don't know if we're ever gonna get it. Jocelyn McKenzie, also an excellent singer. Real fun. We just got to find a metal band that's willing to work for hire right now and do an entire cover of that album. I wonder what it would cost. What could you do if you got like, like there was a Maryland metal band my friend was in called Burn the Fields. Burn the Fields. Get them to. I wonder what it would cost. Like $5,000. Hey, let's do a Kickstarter. Let's raise some money to get. Oh, that's supposed to be a shoulder pad thing there. So this helmet's like one part bike helmet, one part tactical helmet, one part paintball gun mask. Because I played paintball back in the day. So let's get some delineation here just to make it obvious what is the gun and what is the hand. It's a little browner for the hand, maybe a little bluer for the rifle. And this is supposed to be some kind of futuristic thing. I did a couple sketches for Sean a long time ago. These were from a way back. That was designing the characters for this universe. And these are pretty simple, but they're clear enough. You have American versus Russian, the old Cold War. Like, what if the Cold War never ended? What if the Cold War never ended and it became like a hot but non-nuclear conflict happening in some border state? Why not Ukraine? Why not Bulgaria or somewhere like that? So this was the idea for what those guys would kind of look like. Power armor suits, front and back kind of stuff. And what's interesting is even since this time, tactics and procedures have changed. I think I did this drawing for Sean like maybe not even 4 or 5 years ago. Could it be 6 years ago tops? But dudes on the battlefield rarely keep a grenade launcher on their primary weapon. It is way more common now to put the grenade launcher in a separate weapon that is held slung on the side so that their primary rifle can be lighter weight. And part of the reason for that is because since the adoption of grenade launchers mounted to rifles, we've added so much more stuff on guns. We have laser beams, silencers, magnified optics, spotlights, all kinds of stuff, and that just makes the whole thing too damn heavy. Rail systems, rigid rail systems that can hold all that stuff tight and zeroed. Cool. Let's see. So, yeah, it's kind of just a general helmet thing. It's been interesting watching the riots to see what the kind of gas masks are hip and in fashion these days. Yeah, the riot aesthetic. It looks like a Kanye West music video out there in Portland. Talking about that No Church in the Wild song from 2012. This is some kind of bridge structure, kind of walkway that got blowed up. All the battle damage is going to happen later. What do I want to do I want to make sure this is clear, like the viewer can quickly understand foreground, middle ground, background. And typically you can do gradients front to back, like dark to light or light to dark. And as long as that language is consistent, it'll be pretty clear to the viewer what you're doing. So right now, if I squint my eyes and look at this a little bit, the highest area of contrast is going to be right here in the front, at the bottom, and then this guy to the next of it should have equally or somewhat close to high contrast to kind of mirror that. Quickest way to do this is I'm going to select this guy and his kit, And we're just going to hit the layer levels adjustment just for his upper body torso thing. So we're going to select loosely this whole area, and we're going to paint over it later. And I'm going to hit Control L, and then just crank up the HOTS just a little bit. Boom. And suddenly he's starting to pop out in front a little bit more. Isn't that fascinating? It just works. It just works. Pretty cool. And all this gunfire and stuff in the background is going to start to flatten the image out as long as we keep it in. But there is always going to be a give and take between kind of excitement and energy and like high color pop that something's going to have versus like a well-rendered, beautiful, realistic scene that has more mood to it. So, I mean, pop art is going to be super flat and really flashy and hell of a lot of color. And romantic style stuff is going to be more subdued, tonal, more saturated. So I'm trying to go for something in between that's got a little bit of romanticism, heroicism, and then pop of like comic book excitement. Like I want to make this a cover that people get excited about and want to buy this game because it's going to be associated with a tabletop board game thing. So one thing, like I said, I was brainstorming and I like to copy and paste background elements. So we do have a vertical line on the left when it was like copying and stitching stuff. I just want to paint over that real quick. Let's go over that. Let's create some shapes just in the background to make this cohesive. Here's some kind of collapsed roof. And some kind of architectural, some beams. Some verticality, some collapsed wall. See, just a couple suggestions of lines lets the brain engage and create stuff. So we're generally the vibe here is going to be dark front, lighter background. Something like that's pretty cool. Feels good. And I like making chaotic lines and then letting my brain try to figure out what is it I'm looking at. So this tread's going to probably be blown off the front of this tank. So we'll have the wheel there, have the well, we'll have a little bit more balanced light on the inside tread back there. This would be the back cover, so we really shouldn't have to worry about this. The idea here, this is going to be some kind of tree that had like grown out of. So let's say the Donetsk airport is smashed today, 2020. It probably has been smashed since 2016. What happens if this battle takes place in 2040? Yeah, there's probably going to be some vegetation that's going to find a way to grow and survive. Something like that. How are we doing? If you're just joining us, feel free to chime in. Let me know you're here. I'll say what up. I'm going to go a little bit warmer on the American. So purples along with the blue. And then more of the greens and cools for the opposing force. So just going to do a color method and just glaze over this guy just a little bit. Give him a little more purple. It's fun. We got a guy rendering aid back here. There's some kind of, maybe he's gathering intelligence. He sees a fallen opposing force dude there. So you see I'm sampling the color of something locally and close and then glazing over in the background. And then repicking it once it's glazed, so it's going to be a darker tonal layer. Color, not layer, color. What about having it lighter in the background and darker in the foreground? Yes. Well, this is going to be going more towards, when I say darker for this particular guy, more towards the middle ground. More twice the middle bone is what I mean to say. So he should be in the range of like bottom part should be like the darkest he gets is probably 75%, and the lightest he gets is no more than like 60%. Thanks, Drew. Drew Harris joining us. Drew's #1 fan. Thanks, man, for hanging out, checking in. Doing a future battle scene taking place somewhere in the Crimean Peninsula. East meets West in a tragic way. Just, trying to figure out what's going on. This guy's probably grabbing. This is a time when my former mentor Mike Bates would say, you know, just go back to line art. Just draw in with lines and really make your decisions simply and clearly with crisp pencil or pen stuff. And I would say, yes, you are right, but I'm going to still do it my way anyway. But it would overall be faster and probably better to line to figure this all out, which is black and white. This is not as exciting though. Cool. So just a little bit of definition there already helps. So this guy is going to be a little bloodied up. Let's get a little snow on him. We'll be working on this guy for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm thinking that this is going to be a several-week project. And maybe I'll give you guys updates, maybe a couple times a week. It'll be fun. Some kind of tree shape back there that's kind of growing out of the ground. This line here would be a rifle, so let me clean that up. Tighten that area up just a little bit. Guy's arms there. He probably has his thumb up in this area, and then fingers around the front. Something like that. Drew, how are you doing today, man? Mel asks, what type of touchscreen do you use? This is a Wacom Cintiq 22 inch. This would probably be the 2nd gen model, Mel. Wacom for life. PC user. I never use the buttons on the side. I think the background zooms in and zooms. There's a button on the back side of the screen. So Wacom makes it so that this could just be your one monitor and you would never use the keyboard. That was the original idea. But I think since then there's an option now to buy just the screens with the pen, 8,000 levels of pressure sensitivity, and no buttons anymore. I think they realize that no one's using the buttons. Drew says he's doing great. Awesome. Drew says, heck yeah, I got to see this one through to finish. That's right. That's right. This one's going to be a good one. I'm already feeling pretty jazzed about it. Whoa. What else is going on? I took a break from social media for the most part for about a week and a half, and it felt great. I recommend everybody some point this fall, if you have not already in your summertime travels and vacations, to clear your head, get somewhere for about a week and try to unplug. I think I was 90% unplugged. I read a book on Winston Churchill called The Splendid and the Vile about Britain in 1940 getting bombed by the Germans, and it was a great read for this time. A lot of parallels between what we're going through with the pandemic and what Londoners were going through with the Blitz. Now, they would hang out together, but the state of the war suggested they shouldn't, that they should bunker in place, whatever. And occasionally they would all hide together in a subway or a bomb shelter, and then that bomb shelter would get hit directly, and boom, they're all gone. It was really, really sad. But at some point, like 2 or 3 months in to the bombardment, people were still going out anyway. Like they just got used to that state of, like, they kind of got overwhelmed with the terror and just wanted to go back to what they were doing. Even though the bombs kept dropping, Londoners still went out, still found a club to go to, found a way to drink, found a way to have dates, got into the countryside, watch the Battle of Britain unfold in the skies above Plymouth and Dorchester. I don't know if Dorchester was actually involved. The cliffs of Dover, that whole region. I like bouncing around the canvas. So that's something that came from taking a class with Bob Salazar at Micah, my painting classes. And look at the whole thing. The whole thing. Establish this guy's fingers. Maybe he's got, let's give him some motion. So the barrel's that way. Maybe he's got one finger that hasn't really been contracted yet, and then another finger that's kind of loosely getting on board, and then the pinky and ring finger are better locked on there. That's cool. Good stuff. And then we need the magazine. Well, magazine thing. We have the leg. This is something like that. Is the mechanical part of his exoskeleton. So these guys all have like exo motor systems, like a DARPA designed power assist. The dude is not practicing trigger discipline. He is ready to shoot, so he's got his finger already in the trigger guard area. Let's keep the same. I think the AR has pretty good control, so we're just going to keep those for the sake of this this battle scene. For now, if dude wants me to change it, that's fine down the road, but we're going to go like generally AR-10 style. Maybe these guys are shooting, since they have extra load carrying capacity, maybe they're shooting that new 6.8 round the military's talking about. So they're shooting 6.8 NGW, whatever it's called. Basically 308 neck down to 6.8 with a steel penetrator. Exploding hollow point, who knows? This is just an accident. This line back here for the stock kind of resembles a Magpul PRS stock. That's cool. Maybe they have some like carbon fiber version of that in the future. That'd be dope. That'd be dope. Y'all know, hopefully, I'm a gun nut. I love designs like video game guns, real world guns. I like the martial side of things. Like some people are into karate, some people are into gun fu, like John Wick. Love me some John Wick. John Wick. I just signed a petition the other day to get Ian McCollum from Forgotten Weapons into the next John Wick movie. I don't know if that's going to happen, but there's a lobby group who's willing to lobby on behalf of the fans to put Ian as the sommelier in John Wick 4. I don't even know if there is going to be a John Wick 4. I hope there is. That franchise is awesome. Speaking of Keanu Reeves, a series that still holds up is The Matrix. I think The Matrix is actually aging better, or is better with age. Kind of digging it. Gonna watch some more Mandalorian tonight. I was watching Narcos last night, and man, that show's depressing. It's awesome that that's history. I love getting a dramatized history show because I love knowing how things actually went down. Like it helps me understand the geopolitical situation going on with Central America. Drug war, narco terrorism. Interesting shit. Who's watching? How many people do we got watching right now? Facebook is not telling me how many people are tuned in. Probably nobody. But we're going to put this up on YouTube later. Something like that. Hope y'all are having a good day. We're going to do 1 hour. It's 47 minutes. I'm going to give you 13 more minutes. Just letting you guys know I'm alive. And I'm making art. I'm available. It's good to have something to keep me a little busy during this time. I want this background to be a little bit bluer, so we're going to pick that blue, go back to color, and just kind of glaze over that with just a little bit of that blue. So it separates from the color of the guy, so that's better. That's good. This line is kind of pissing me off. I know why it's there. It's because it's my right edge. But it bothers me. Bothers me. In the background here is supposed to be some kind of tower. Some kind of control tower. Let's get reference. So that's what that tower. Oh man, it is in bad shape. Bad shape. Some kind of roof. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Silhouette's pretty important. Do a lot with just silhouette. Maybe this had been rebuilt at some point, so it would be a little bit of what it had before and then a little bit of something after. Some more smoke. It's cool. What's up, L? L says love is in the house. Drew says only 3 and everyone else is missing out. That's true. That's true. Thanks, Drew, for the love and support. Thanks, L, for the love and support. Trying to do something to let everyone know that I'm here for you. That we're all here. We're in this together now, as Trent Reznor says. Yeah, we may. Even after everything, you're the queen and I'm the king. Nothing ever doing now. We're in this together now. None of them can stop us now. Something like that. We will make it through somehow. Trent Reznor's Nine Inch Nails is a little hard to listen to because the kind of dystopic world he talks about, like, kind of happened. Like, it's one thing when like things are bad, but not that bad. Like, yeah, you can still go out and do whatever you want. Now things are starting to get a little apocalyptic. But then again, it's not. Like, I just went to the grocery store, and the grocery store is stocked full of everything. There's no shortage of anything right now. I bought like boxes of cookies, soda, beer. You know, there were steaks if I wanted a steak. And, like, we live in such a bounty of stuff. At least where I am, Shrewsbury, farm town, Pennsylvania. Like, what do you need? It's probably down the street. You probably get it. It's amazing. Like, and so how can on that with that frame of mind, how can we call this post-apocalyptic? Oh well, we can't go watch baseball. Yeah, that's frustrating, but it's not the end of the world, right? L, we gotta do a phone call. Drew says, "Oh snap, was up to 6 for a second. It may have been 2. That's funny. That's funny. Oh, now I see. I got 3 watchers. That's cool. All right. Look, ladies and gentlemen, Facebook is not the ideal streaming method. It gets to you faster, my friends, but Twitch's interface is far superior. Problem is, I don't want to just stream to random people yet. Maybe that'll be winter time. I did a couple streams on Twitch with my 3D modeling project. Let me load that up for you guys real quick. Some of you on Facebook might not have seen that, might not have tuned into Twitch, because getting that whole login to a new software is complicated for some of y'all. And I don't blame you. I'm getting old. I don't want to learn new technology. I have enough to do with what I already know. It's tough. I know I got to learn Substance Painter. As part of this, I'm doing a 3D model. I'm finishing up a rifle model I worked on like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm continuing to work on it because I want to use it as a catalyst to learning some Substance Painter. Drew says 5 viewers now. Excellent. Thanks for watching, 5 people. I'm guessing that's Brandon, Drew, Mel, L, and Secret Person. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's counting me in this. Trying to load up something. A quick update from Mike LeGrand is working on puzzles for the Baltimore project, and he gave me a preview of that. I will share it soon. There will be a small puzzle, 280 pieces that you can acquire. Probably, I shouldn't say where you can get it from yet. All right, this is the 3D project I'm working on, doing a rifle model. Another thing that now it is probably going to be on the back burner for a little bit. Just maybe doing a couple hours a week tops on this until I finish. This is just reference cards. This is the kind of stuff that was my bread and butter. Blah. What I actually made money doing in games was 3D modeling. So all this stuff is modeled from boxes, and I'm pushing and pulling vertices and edges. And my Twitch stream will be going over how I do all this kind of stuff, which is fun. 3D modeling. Good. Save that. Close that. Boom, boom, boom. Thanks, Mel. Glad you think it's way cool. Let me see if I have a clip, a picture of the puzzle. I have to thank Mr. Dan Halka, I believe, got involved in the puzzle box design a little bit. Hopefully I'm not outing him. He might have been doing it on the sly. So this is the prototype right now. Prototype Baltimore hidden object and puzzle game. It's tiny, 285 pieces, but would be fun. It's pretty cool. I'm excited about it. I think they did a great job with the box art. This is dope, and I'm thrilled to have collaborated on this project. This has been super fun. So what we did for this puzzle is I took the longer, wider poster size image. That's more of like a 16:9 ratio, and I ended up photoshopping, like scooching it in and like copy pasting stuff so that the composition's actually a little tighter but still has everything in it. And then I drew a little bit more on the bottom and top to make it more 4:3 perspective. So I had to do a lot of editing stuff. I'll give you an update as this keeps coming. Drew. It's a little tighter, a little more compact. I had to move Fifi into the right a little bit. Had to bring Mr. Trash Wheel in closer. The dolphins had to come in closer. Painted the bottom, a little underwater thing there. Submarine had to come in a hell of a lot closer. So I pretty much like rope selected the entire right side of the image and then shifted it in. And then had to do some very careful masking because now the entire power plant live thing is now over the middle of the scene. The Oriole had to come over and get near Baltimore Railroad, marching band man, etc., etc., to crop out stuff from Visionary Art Museum. But it's still cool. It's still got 90% of that original illustration, and it's a puzzle. Let's take a look. What do we do when we're curious about what to do next? We flip the canvas. Ah, fresh eyes. What do we see? Well, we have this high contrast area over here that's drawing my eye to this hanging fruit thing. So I'm just going to go 30% background color and just glaze over just a little bit. Take down the contrast just a hair. Grabbing the background, paint into it just a little bit. Yeah, just knock it back just a little bit. A little less contrast. So our eye isn't as drawn to it. Close that. Close that. "58 minutes. We got 2 minutes left. Any questions? Time for Q&A. Tom, what did you have for breakfast today? Tom had a sausage, bacon, egg wrap from Starbucks. It's pretty good. But I was hankering for some yogurt and granola. So I went to the supermarket and got some granola and yogurt. I'm very excited about that. Got some blueberries. Got some non-fat plain yogurt. Got some Naked Bear granola. Never heard of that brand before, but I am pretty excited about it. The knuckles, some like padded knuckle thing. I don't know. This is a glove. So one thing about power armor, you'd want like some kind of hook. I noticed that in the DARPA designs that there's basically a robot bone that matches the ulna and humerus, and then at the end is a little hooking shape. So if you wanted to lift something, instead of using your fingers, which can only hold, I don't know, some reasonable amount of human weight, that the hook can handle much, much more, like 200 pounds. So you can hook the thing and lift it up. So that's something I want to draw into these guys, is they're all wearing this kind of like powered armor exoskeleton device. And then it's going to latch into the armor that they're wearing. So they have full body ballistic armor. And then they're going to have this like hook shape that they can pick up stuff with. Maybe it's some kind of latch. Maybe it's some kind of carabiner type device. I don't know. I'm going to think about that later. There's probably the whole plate of. There's probably a plate on the top of the hand. What I should do is consult some medieval armor looks to get this just right. We want all our little details, our little attachment points, little control knobs, windage, elevation, that type of stuff. Top rail. Rounded doesn't make a lot of sense. I want stuff to be a little bit more sloped. Slope would be better. So these guys take impacting rounds, right? We'll do some M-lock. Ports, that's pretty good. Attachment points. There's going to be some kind of optic light illuminator system. And then this is going to be some kind of two-stage silencer. I imagine like these would have some kind of integrally suppressed barrel assembly. And then there's like a giant baffle at the end of the muzzle. So the overall length isn't too big. This is the new design from the Army's next generation weapon. They're doing much fatter silencer cans at the end. They're shorter, but as wide as the entire rail system. Drew asks, how do you do on your shoot competitions? It depends what match I'm in. If I'm shooting 22 precision, I am usually in the bottom 25% because I do not have good enough gear to get much better. Plus, I suck. Main reason is I suck, and number two is because my gear doesn't let me do the high-end stuff. I have a pretty inexpensive setup to compete. Probably the minimum barrier to entry. In fact, there's an article about what I'm running on the firearm blog. My friend Luke writes for the firearm blog in the rimfire report section, and we have an article up there. I'll send you a link, Drew, after this is over. The last one, what was the last match I did? It was a pistol match, falling steel match. I think I came in third of 12. I came in third of 12th in pistols. In the class I was specifically in was stock auto, which would be like right off the shelf handgun. So I shot with a Smith & Wesson 2.0, M2.0, which is a 5-inch barrel stock gun. It was designed partly for the Army's next generation M17 program, but never had all the requirements. So Sig won. Sig was also cheaper too. Wasn't crazy about Sig's bore axis. The Sig M17 has a pretty high bore axis, but the trigger is pretty great. My friend Josh has one with a red dot on it, and it is sick, nasty. Thanks, man. Yeah, I do like shooting guns. Expensive, very hard to get 9mm ammo these days. I am running on fumes. I bought 1,000 rounds before the pandemic hit, just like my spring allotment that I shoot in competition, and I'm just stretching that out as long as I possibly can. I'm down to like a couple hundred rounds of practice ammo left, maybe like 200 rounds tops of practice ammo, and then everything else is hollow points and defensive stuff. Just some shotgun shooting stuff. I'm not good with shotguns. Don't like shotguns that much, but it's good to practice, and it's cheap. It's easy to get game loads right now. Like if you were to train with some kind of weapon right now, shooting clays with shotguns is probably the way to go because you can get birdshot anywhere. There's plenty of 7.5, 8, 12 gauge birdshot. So get some clays, find a farm, go shoot some clay pigeons with your buddies. It's a good way to practice. We set up some steel targets and did some drills running around with a shotty. Yeah, nice one. Even after everything, you're the queen, I'm the king. We're gonna wrap this one up. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Thanks Drew for asking some questions. That made it fun. And I will send you a link to some stuff, Drew. Thanks for hanging out. You guys motivate me. Thanks for chiming in. When I hear from you, that makes me want to do more stuff myself. So please, you all should do videos too. You know, give me a video from the boat, Drew. Mel, I want to see a video when you're playing your beautiful cello. I want to see Elle do a live video of your drawing. I got my beautiful Elle drawing. I still got to get it framed. It's downstairs. It's got the Juggernaut. It's got Deadpool. I love it. I see it every day when I leave my house. I still need to get it framed and hung up in here, but I'm broke. So I need to, maybe after this commission is done, I'll take 10% of this commission and go spend it on a nice frame for the piece Elle drew for me. But right now it's on my desk downstairs. Drew, thanks for hanging out. Thanks, everybody. And we're going to call it there at 1 hour and 5 minutes. Have a great Tuesday. Don't forget, Fish streams every Tuesday night at around 8:30 EST. Some show from their back catalog. Awesome. Take care, y'all.